What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Boleros. Sam here with Gab and Maui. Hello, Gab.
Hello, we're back
Yeah. Ay, kita nyo naman ang laki
Hey,
ng ngiti
with
ko.
a vengeance
laki ng ngiti.
today.
Laki ng ngiti ni Gab. Nagpolo pa yan para sa inyo dahil masaya siya today. Let's talk about it. Today is, what do we call it? Like a day of underdog upsets. Kasi
Upset
UST
Sunday, baby. Upset
Upset
Sunday.
Sunday. UST getting their first win after a 19-game losing streak, beating FEU. And in the final game of the weekend, Ateneo winning against the formerly undefeated UP in overtime. I think final score was 99-89. You know we have to talk about the biggest game of the weekend, the Ateneo UP game, which rumors are we will be having again on Wednesday. So kung enjoy mo yung game na yon, magkakaroon ulit tayo on
Bakbakan
Wednesday.
ulit.
Tapos yung mga bakbakan ulit. At yung mga
Pucha.
sobrang inatake sa game na yon dahil grabe yung game na yon, maghanda na kayo for Wednesday kasi atakihin tayo ulit on Wednesday. So let's talk about it. Quick reactions na lang. Wala nang paligoy-ligoy pa. Gab. Initial reactions on that game. By the way, sorry guys. Before you start, Gab. I know marami tayong listeners here that some of our friends were messaging na parang, uy, kailan yung episode? Kailan tayo mag-post? Pasensya na, medyo late na. It's like past 10 now.
Traffic.
Gab and Maui came from the game. So,
Traffic
medyo
from
traffic.
Moa.
Pasensya
Kahit Sunday.
na. Pasensya na. But we're doing our best. Kaya let's talk about that game. Let's go with you, Gab.
Wow! That was the game of the season. I can't explain how exhilarating it was to be in that arena. Big UP crowd. Big UP crowd spilling into the Ateneo crowd. The Ateneo faithful outnumbered but still cheering their hearts out. And grabe yung game. It was a game. It was close all throughout. I think the biggest lead in regulation was 9 points. Or di pa umabot ng 9. I think 8 or 7 was the biggest lead made by Ateneo. UP just kept crawling back. And this was a classic Coach Tab game. I just gotta give it to this guy.
Umuubo pa yan ha. Umuubo pa ng Gab. Song for Mary. Kung di nyo napansin. He's still sick.
He was obviously sick. He was obviously still sick. But his game plan, he shortened his rotation. He put Obasa on UP's power forwards. It didn't help him escape from foul trouble, but he was able to stifle the power forwards to a certain degree. Mason Amos handling himself against Malik Diouf pretty well and having the effing game of his life. Mason freaking Amos against his best friend Francis Lopez on the other hand, giving him the business. The step back 3 in overtime. Oh my goodness. And Coach Tab, back to Coach Tab. He ran completely different sets from what he was running in the first 6 games of this season. It was crazy that the only play that looked familiar was their horn set that had 2 big guys screening for the point guard. That was the only set they've run in the past 6 games. They kind of tried it out, these sets in the UST game, but it wasn't that successful yet. But they were running a lot of post-ups. Gone were the flare screens run for Balungay and Amos. They were replaced by post-ups. And they were effective. Gotta give it to Coach Tab, man. And obviously, UP did not have a chance to scout these sets as much. Diba? If you look at how UP defends, they're usually pretty good at scouting plays. Just take a look at the UP LaSalle game. Alam na ng UP yung plays ng LaSalle eh. So it was easier to make sets. But Coach Tab completely changed his rotation completely changed his offensive sets. If there were some things that Coach Tab did that I didn't approve of, like stop playing Espinosa. He was being taken advantage of on defense. Maybe play a bigger guy. But wow. And Ateneo stepped up. As a whole, this game was a chess match. Both teams executed. Both teams were playing wild, executing to near perfection. Both teams. Even UP. Actually, UP was so smart. They were hunting the smaller guards of Ateneo. Yeah, they were hunting mismatches every time. And CJ Cancino feasted. Now, aside from his antics, which were the highlight for me, of course, he played a hell of a game. CJ Cancino. Para lahat ng binabato ni CJ Cancino kayo na pumapasok eh. This guy, Sam said it, he's kind of taken over this Richie Rivero role. I thought it was going to be like Harold Alarcon who would take on that scoring role. But CJ Cancino was balling a while ago. And Alarcon was nowhere to be found. What else? Foul trouble for both teams. Francis Lopez saddled with a lot of foul trouble. Joseph Obasa saddled with foul trouble. Even Sean Ketevis. The refs called it tight. And I think the score reflects how great of an offensively executed game it was for both teams. And as an Ateneo fan, I am so happy. I was not optimistic of Ateneo's chances. I don't think any of us were. Sam, right after our last episode, Sam, we were talking about this while... you and I, Maui, said, I think Ateneo has a chance to upset. Sam said there's no... Sam said no way. No chance.
No chance.
Ever pessimistic Sam Santos said there was no chance Ateneo was going to beat UP. Maui and I said, there's still a chance. I think there's still a chance. And lo and behold, there was still a chance. And what a game it was. UP, the run in the final 2 minutes, every time this UP team just rises from the grave. Every time they do this. And grabe yung puso. Talagang UP fight. And it was a 7-0 run to force the game into overtime. That Francis Lopez 3, the alley-oop to Francis Lopez, and then the putback by Raylan Torres, just freaking fighting out of their minds. But ako, in overtime, just excellent composure by Ateneo. For Jared Brown and Mason freaking Amos, as like Maui said. What a breakout game by Mason freaking Amos. Giving UP and his buddy Francis Lopez the business. Woo! Okay, go Maui.
Exhilarating.
Initial reactions, Maui.
Initial reactions. Grabe si Mason Amos. If anybody even doubted, I mean, a lot of people doubted. Some people called him as a bolero. This is finally his breakout game. He showed his bag. Aside from that, he held his own against Malik Diouf. He had 10 rebounds. I think this is really the best of Mason Amos we can see this season. Definitely, he will get more minutes in the second round. But I think we have to give our flowers to CJ Cancino. What a game he played. I think talagang binuhat na UP kanina in crunch time. He was consistent. He was the best player on the court nung second half. I think he scored 16 points nung second half. He took advantage of Jared Brown a lot. Parang may 3 straight possessions that he posted up. One resulted into an end one, I think. But CJ Cancino really balled out. The CJ Cancino we've been seeing this season is CJ Cancino was shooting 3-pointers, barely going into the paint, more of mid-range floaters ang but kanina
this was UST CJ Cancino.
Yeah, this was UST CJ Cancino with shooting. I think this was his best game of the season. And yeah, I think what's a bit concerning for me on the UP side is you mentioned Gabs CJ Cancino has stepped up into the Richie Rivera role. what's concerning to me, si JD Kagulangan and si Harold Alarcon has not been consistent all season long. There are games that Felicilda stepped up. There are games that Dylan Torres has stepped up. Don't get me wrong, Alarcon had this breakout game, but I was waiting actually sa game na to, both of them to really break out. This was probably it was a bigger game for Ateneo, definitely. But when you're going up against Coach Tab in Ateneo, it's a big game regardless of Ateneo's record right now. But yeah,
and this was the tightest rotation they've played for UP. Tingnan mo sina Pablo, Gagate, Torculas barely played. He started. You both has but barely played. So this was Kagulangan and Alarcon had a ton of minutes, but
they had usage. I think they shot more than 10 shots both. I think they made 2 out of 10 both. What also impressed me, si Jerry Abadiano is continuing to play at a high level offensively. I don't think we saw this type of Jerry Abadiano, the one that's creating his own shot off the dribble and hitting mid-range shots, the one consistently making 3-pointers. So yeah, I think the game was crazy. That both teams, Ateneo scored 99, UP scored 89. I was expecting more of a low-scoring game, but it's Ateneo UP. And when you get a high-octane offense, high-octane scoring game, it's more fun. So yeah, but yes, I think we also have to give credit to Chris Kuhn. We've been calling out Chris Kuhn all the season long. Magdupang ka, Chris Kuhn, and this is the game that he finally showed also that this is his team. If Mason Amos didn't break out or he exploded no overtime, I think he scored 7 points. Chris Kuhn would have led Ateneo in scoring with 17 points. This guy played 35 minutes in a 45-minute game. He was cramping up at the end of the game. He gave it all. I think one of the biggest adjustments we also have to note with Ateneo is yung rebounding. When we started the season, we were getting clobbered sa rebounds. If you watch yung NU game, NU was really manhandling Ateneo. But Chris Kuhn has really done a good job getting those defensive rebounds. Si Mason Amos is also starting to rebound. Si Balungay has been a beast on the offensive rebounding side. I think he's leading the league at 4+ offensive rebounds a game right now. It was a welcome sight. Every episode I say about Ateneo, Balungay has to score 15 points to win, but Balungay scored 10 points and they beat UP. It's crazy. My sister mentioned she read somewhere, I think sa X, sa Twitter, that Ateneo is now the number 2 offense in the UAAP. Imagine that. I mean, opening the season horrendously on the offensive end, just because of a few explosive games, the one against UST and now against UP. Ateneo has a better offensive lineup. I think yung set si Gab mentioned, one thing that stood out to me was yung coach staff really prioritizing people creating from the post. Ateneo is a team that struggles with playmakers and ball handlers. So Coach Tab shocked us kanina and showed yung new offense where Chris Kuhn was creating on the post. Mason Amos was also creating on the post. Mason Amos was starting to create off the dribble, some notable pull-up threes, pull-up mid-range shots. I think Ateneo is... The question for me is this Ateneo's turning point? Ateneo is now number 3, 4-3. They much like Lasal, they could have easily been 6-1 right now. So the question is, has Ateneo turned the corner? Will there be a more dangerous Ateneo team in the second round? But definitely during this game against UP, they showed that they have a ceiling. They showed that Ateneo can compete with anybody in the UAAP. Batukan na lang ako lahat. I've been biased kuno from the off-season, ranking Ateneo as high as 3. Now Ateneo finished the first round at number 3. So my power rankings have been justified at the end of the first round.
Ako nga 2 ang Ateneo eh. Ako nga yung lumaban sa inyo. Bakit 3 ang Ateneo?
So yeah, I think Ateneo has turned, for me, I think Ateneo has turned the corner this past few games. This big showing against UP is probably the game of their season. And I think it was shown nung huddle ng Ateneo at the end of the game. coach staff doesn't celebrate. Coach staff doesn't is not highly emotional in regular season games. But you saw that if you saw Ateneo after the game, yung huddle nila before the song for Mary, Ateneo was fired up. This is a big game, and they won. Sabi ko nga sa sister ko, it's better to expect not to win because if you win, it's super sweet. What a win by Ateneo today. This is better.
Masarap
This
eh,
is
no?
even more sweeter than the win against Lasal, in my opinion. And the games were crazy. I mean, UST just won against FPU kanina, so second round will be crazier. UP and NU are now put on notice. They're at 6-1, but they have had closer games the past few games, so it's gonna be a crazy second round. I think those were my initial thoughts.
Especially to UP, no?
Yeah.
They started the season blowing teams out, and now the past 3 games they're playing tight, uh, nail-biting games. All of their past 3 games have been nail-biters, and now that it ended with a loss to Ateneo. But I expect them to bounce back. If ever it's gonna be on Wednesday, I expect a bounce back game from UP. Sammy, we haven't heard from you yet. Ikaw naman. UP ka, di ba?
UP. Siyempre, Ateneo din tayo. Pero I just, Maui, you mentioned how crazy the UAP season has been so far. I know last season was also very competitive, very crazy. Pero I really love this tweet by Naveen Ganglani, kay si Navs Effect. He tweeted, Adamson beat Ateneo, who beat UP, who beat NU, who beat LaSalle, who beat UE, who beat UST, who beat FEU. Welcome to UAP Season 86. So, ganun ka-crazy yung standings and yung competition this season na any team can beat another team. The standings don't matter. Ateneo
Parity,
was
pare. Parity.
like, can you imagine? Ateneo was at the bottom 2 at one point of the season. So it's been bottom 2, bottom 3 teams, sorry. So it's been that crazy of a season for Ateneo and for the rest of the teams, no. Just to talk about the 2 teams, first I have to say CJ Cancino, what a game. I know you guys mentioned a lot about him already, pero I was also going to mention exactly what you said, Maui. Oo nga yung ganun niya, no? But I was gonna mention na what I loved about his game today is
Yung
we didn't
pinipidik
see like
niya, yung mag-6-1 daw sa 6-1.
yun yung meme ngayon, no? So what I loved about his game today was we didn't see a shooter lang, a 3-point shooter, which is has been like sort of his specialty. But he actually didn't shoot that well from the 3-point shot in this game. I think shot 2 out of 7, but he showed us all the other moves. Tama ka, Gabi. He showed us vintage CJ. Tapos talagang binubully
Slasher
niya.
CJ
Slasher.
Cancino.
Oo.
Yeah.
Tapos binubully niya si Brown sa post. I think that was during the third quarter. So,
Third quarter.
yun nga.
Yep.
I think yung post-up na end one that you were mentioning, Maui, dun siya yung sa crowd. I mean, he's the vet. He's the star. He's one of the vets. He's a graduating player playing against like a rookie in Brown. Siyempre, oozing with confidence to si CJ. And, warranted naman yung confidence. Dude, balled out today.
KBL
Love
ready.
what...
KBL ready.
Oo nga. May
CJ
mga
Cancino.
ano daw, di ba? May mga recruiters, di ba?
May scouts ang KBL kanina
may
sa
scouts,
game.
May scouts.
Yeah, may scouts. So CJ Cancino showed he's ready to go pro.
Get that bag, bro.
Get that
that bag.
Happy for him. He should. He deserves it.
Oh.
Love what
Sammy.
Jerry Abadiano did. I love what Jerry Abadiano did. Super consistent coming from the previous game where he was the best player. We all agreed si Jerry Abadiano yung best player. Ang okay kay Jerry is kay Abadiano is he always starts out really hot. Like, todo bigay, all the energy. He's very aggressive at the very start. And it really helps kickstart yung UP team during the first quarter. I I think a guy that we don't always talk about no sa UP team, but I think is super underappreciated also is Raylan Torres. I think this guy has been super consistent for UP. Not flashy numbers, but he does really well on both ends of the floor. Number one, offensively, not afraid to shoot. This guy, kahit nung NU days niya,
Yeah.
I remember there was a time na they were down like 10, tapos he had like a personal 6-0 run, 7-0 run, something like that. This guy is not afraid to shoot, not afraid to score. But defensively, he's been perfect in Coach Gold's system. Yung energy that he brings. And si Raylan kasi medyo chunky guy siya, di ba? Medyo guard wing siya but chunky boy siya. So, he grabbed a lot of crucial rebounds in this game. You talked
He
about
did.
rebounding gap, yung putback nga niya, I think to tie the game, was it? I
Yep.
forget,
At the
but
game at 80.
to tie the game, that was so crucial, and I just love the energy from Raylan Torres. I think mm, they were lucky that they got Raylan Torres. Initially when he moved to UP, I was like, what are you doing, bro? Like, hindi ka naman magagamit doon. Sobrang deep ng lineup. But he's been so good for UP.
Si Lenny
And I
Felicilda.
feel like,
Lenny Felicilda has been,
and Felicilla, pero I feel like si Torres yung mas hindi
yeah.
napapag-usapan. But I do wanna give props to him. For Ateneo, Mason freaking Amos. Sabi mo nga, Maui, let's turn that into a hashtag, Mason freaking Amos. What a game by Mason also, showing out. Chris Kuhn, actually, Maui, I think si Chris Kuhn is also watching Boleros. Kasi ever since you called him out, you and Gab called him out, he's been balling and he's been more aggressive. So, feel ko nakikinig din tong si Chris Kuhn sa Boleros eh.
Idol yun, si Chris
But I
Kuhn.
think I was talking to Gab. I was talking to Gab offline before we started. I think the guy that we should mention that deserves well, actually two guys, but the one guy that I think deserves to be mentioned is Jason Credo. I mean, he
Yes.
Breakout
scored
game na
like
to.
what, 7 points,
Quietly.
pero it
Yeah.
super crucial to the team, super effective yung ginawa niya. You talked about Maui yung rebounding, how Ateneo out-rebounded UP today. Credo had like 6 rebounds, and he had a couple of yung, I think he did it twice where he missed his free throws, and then, or somebody missed the free throw, and then siya yung nakaw nung rebound. I think he did it twice, nung fourth and then nung OT. This guy just, I think, just wanted to win and wanted to ball out. And I think that's the type of energy that Ateneo's
Yeah.
been missing in like the past few games.
That's his
Saka
game. That's
yeah.
always been his game.
All around. Jason
All
Credo's
around
always
with
been.
all forward.
Tsaka just to add lang about Jason Credo, I think we've been talking about Ateneo's lack of playmakers and ball handlers. I think si Jason Credo did a very good job kanina, despite getting blocked by Malik Diouf a number of times. I think that aggressiveness is what Ateneo needs. Somebody has to really be, kailangan sa Ateneo may magdupang eh. Somebody has to take charge. I think him and Kuhn moving forward will be those two guys. Despite not having a good shooting game, I think Credo had his mini breakout also today. Good for you to mention.
Actually, we even when we were talking about him during the preseason, sabi natin, I think sa chat natin, Gab, di ba? Oh, lock na starter na to siguro si Credo, or like sixth man. So we were a bit surprised na hindi siya naglalaro nung first few games. But ngayong binabad siya, nakita natin yung value ni Credo. Talaga yung, I think, tama ka, Mau, it's the aggressiveness. Kahit na nasusupalpal yung no fear attitude niya, really helped din with Ateneo. Worth mentioning, Lebron Nieto, I think he didn't play that much, but he had like a 5-0 run pagkapasok
Bulldog.
niya.
What a bulldog.
Bulldog. I do want
defender.
to see Lebron Nieto. So he's not a negative on offense. Like, he's a shooter. He's one of our decent shooters sa Ateneo, but he's a good defender also. So naisahan lang siya ni Kagulangan yung nag-fake si Kagulangan lumabas, tapos bumalik siya, tapos na iwan niya
yeah.
si, that was a good move by JD.
Yeah.
The vet showing the rookie. That's it for me. I think si talaga stood
I
out.
want to mention a few players pa. Go, ikaw muna.
I just want to go back to Chris Kuhn. Yes, Chris Kuhn has become more aggressive. You can see he's asking for the ball now on offense. But also a conscious effort by Coach Tab to run plays for Chris Kuhn. They ran a high staggered screen a lot for Chris Kuhn just to get switches, to get him to pull up from those mid-rangers or to drive to the basket. He drove a lot of times in this game. Well, yung to the left because he still can't drive with his right. But the aggressiveness of Chris Boone and the take charge, you can see it on the court. He's the guy instructing players where to go. He's the guy taking on the second toughest defensive assignment next to Sean Ketevis. He was manning JD for most of that fourth quarter and overtime. So all around guy, man. And this is what you wanted. Yung tama si Maui. This is what you have to be, Chris Kuhn. You're the guy now. You're the guy. You're the guy.
Definitely.
You are him in this Ateneo offense. You're the guy who can pull up from three. You can handle the ball. You can drill mid-rangers. You can attack the basket. You can do everything on offense. Triple threat. And you can defend the best perimeter player on the floor for the opposing team. So I'm happy to see that from Chris Kuhn. LeBron Nieto you mentioned, but I do want to mention another player na magic hugot sa UP, Mark Belmonte, I think.
Yeah, yun. Actually, yun ang sasabihin ko. Si Mark Belmonte.
Oo nga.
Yeah.
Oo nga.
It was overshadowed because, yung CJ Cancino balled out and UP lost. But
yeah,
he played really well. I thought his presence was amazing. He pulled up from three. You had a floater, blocked a shot. But you can see he's still a bit confused, no? Especially with the defensive sets that UP runs. I don't know kung napansin mo kanina, Maui. There are a lot of the times, sinisigawan siya nila CJ, nila JD. Oy, doon ka. You're not supposed to be there. Doon ka.
He has to get more reps,
So,
I think.
He has to get more reps. I think moving forward, I would love to see him back up Francis Lopez more than Aldous Torculas.
Mm-hmm.
Between the two of them, Mark Belmonte and Aldous Torculas, I think Mark Belmonte has a more expansive skill set than Aldous Torculas. He has a better three-point shot. He's both are athletic, but I think the shot blocking instincts are better for Belmonte. So this is the problem a little bit with UP. They run a very deep rotation, no? And some guys get overshadowed, or some guys don't get to play much, or are not able to get into a rhythm. So I think this guy, Mark Belmonte, has made the claim to get more minutes in the second round, and I hope he gets more minutes, man. He's really good, really good. He gets confused, but sabi nga ni Maui, with more minutes, you more time with the regular rotation players, and I think you could see this guy exploding. We picked him. Remember Sam, Maui?
Yeah.
No start the season as a possible breakout player.
Surprise pick yan. Yeah, I'm
Surprise
happy
player.
he's getting his chances now. Despite all those
And then,
marquee recruits.
Yeah, and then another guy I do want to mention, despite having limited minutes, I think Joseph Obasa balled out.
Yeah.
What a game from
Obasa,
Joseph Obasa. Wow. He was not defending Malik Ju for most of this game. He was defending Francis Lopez and Mark Belmonte for most of this game. The foul trouble stings a bit, but he had 13 points. Did you know he had 13 points?
Yeah, he had 13 points, 8 rebounds in 16 minutes.
And the key shot block on JD Kagulangan to force overtime.
And 5 block shots pala, Gab. He also had 5 block shots in 16 minutes.
Crazy. He's the league leader in block shots.
By a huge margin.
How good he's been.
By a huge margin.
Yep.
Siya yung league leader?
Yeah, by a huge margin.
Yeah, he's averaging around 3.8 blocks a game, Sam.
I think si ang number 2 is Cholo Nuevo, high 1 lang, 1.7 I think if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, si Obasa has been a pleasant surprise for Ateneo. I think we can never compare him to Ange Kwame, but this is the best we can get from an FSA rookie one and done FSA. I think, in my opinion. Another player I wanted to mention is si Jared Brown. I think he has solidified himself as the top point guard for Ateneo. I think he is their most steady hand. The problem is sometimes lang, like what happened with CJ Cancino, he gets murdered on defense. But I think offensively, I think Jared Brown has been the most steady for Ateneo this season. Definitely, I hope
And
more minutes.
medyo makapal din yung mukha niya, Maui, diba? I mean, he would pull up from 3. He doesn't care. He will take his shot.
I think that's one of the main reasons why Jared Brown has really stood out also for Ateneo. Ateneo needs someone who wants to take charge. And he has risen up on the occasion. He has taken those out of nowhere, put up 3-pointers, sometimes even a few feet, a few inches from the 3-point line. So yeah, I think Jared Brown has solidified. I'm still, as much as most of my friends and maybe Gab is and Sam is confused as to why Gab Gomez hasn't really gotten consistent minutes. But I wanted to go back to Chris Kuhn. You mentioned, Gab, si Chris Kuhn has taken charge. What's crazy about the past 2 games that Chris Kuhn has had is that despite the increase in usage, he has 0 turnovers against UST and UP the past 2 games. I think all of the Ateneans who were scratching their heads, who were baffled at Coach Tab playing Chris Kuhn at the point guard last season, this is what has happened. This is a byproduct of that experiment. Chris Kuhn has definitely improved his handles. Chris Kuhn has definitely started to ball out. I think he's finally getting healthy from all the off-season injuries. We didn't see Chris Kuhn a lot nung preseason, and it's been a slow ramp up. The past few games, he has really broken out. It's not just about the 3-point shooting anymore. He's consistently getting to the basket. He's hitting his mid-range shots. A bit, yun nga lang, sometimes, most of the time, he only goes left. But Chris Kuhn has really balled out for Ateneo. I think having 0 turnovers with that type of usage the past 2 games has been crazy.
Against that type of defense, no?
Yeah,
Wow.
and in Coach Stab's words, against the best, against the team with the best guards in the UAAP, definitely UP has the best guards. They have a deep guard pool. Probably NU is the only team that can match up really with them. But yeah, si Chris Kuhn has been a pleasant surprise. This guy is somebody I have been rooting for since day one for Ateneo, just because of his size and upside. I think he can be a future player for our national team. Probably like a Dwight Ramos 2.0 type of player. So yeah, I'm happy that he's finally breaking out. I'm expecting a big second round for Chris Kuhn and Mason Amos, definitely.
Just to add on Ateneo's side, I've mentioned this before na why I'm so low on Ateneo is because even yung wins nila, they haven't been good games for me. Like they were sort of sloppy, yung lamang na sila ng malaki tas nahabol.
Fair, Sam.
Except maybe like the Lasal game where they sort of got hot at the end. I think this is the first convincingly good game that Ateneo's had. And you know, they had to play an almost perfect game to beat an unbeaten 6-0 UP team, diba? So you talked about Maui, you talked about Ateneo trying to turn the corner. Maybe this is it. Kasi this is at least for me, this is really the first like solid good game that they played from first quarter until overtime.
And they won the third quarter, Sam.
And they won the third quarter.
Third quarter.
Finally, pinag-uusapan natin lagi yung third quarter offline.
Bago mag-third quarter, kabado kami ng dad ko actually. Kasi Ateneo still
Ako rin,
third
Maui.
quarter team. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest.
Correct. And they were just up 1 nung halftime. So, kung, not like it was a Lasal game where they were up big and then, okay, bad third quarter, okay lang. But this was close all throughout. So, that was a good third quarter for them. Gab, you were saying?
I don't want to apologize to one player. I do give Ian Espinosa a ton of shit. But I think he played decently a while. He was only a -1. I think that's a victory. I can see why I
Grabe
can
naman.
see why Coach Stab likes this guy. I mean, he knows the offense. He's a pretty smart player when it comes to setting up the offense. Yes, he gets a ton of crap from the Ateneo community because when the offense does not work, he's the guy tasked to create. And he's not that efficient of a creator. He's pretty small. He's not that fast. He doesn't have long strides. He's not that creative when he's has the ball in his hands and he's forced to make plays. But he had 8 points a while ago. Hit 6 out of 6 free throws. Broke UP's press many times. And I can see why Coach Tab is playing him. Despite the obvious limitations that he has. I can see why Coach Tab is leaning towards him and not Gab Gomez. Although, maybe the shooting of Gab Gomez could be better for this team. He's a knockdown shooter. But yeah, I mean, I give Ian Espinosa a lot of criticism, but I have to give it to him when he plays well, and he played well a while ago. And also, Malik Diouf had another double-double. And I don't think he played a lot of minutes. How many minutes did Malik Diouf play?
26. Malik Diouf played 26 minutes.
26 minutes?
Actually,
he got 11 points and 13 points and 11 rebounds with 2 block shots.
Actually, it was shocking to me, Gab, that he played 26 minutes. It felt like he played a lot less. Parang I was asking my dad why was Diouf not playing as many minutes, but he still played 26 minutes.
I think he's hurting a bit too. From the Lasal game, he suffered an injury.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was limping a bit in the Lasal game. But he was still quote unquote dominant. I mean, grabe, this
It's
guy.
Still Malik Diouf is still Malik Diouf, whatever happens.
Malik Diouf is still Malik Diouf, man. And wow, what a game.
Much to unwind from. It's crazy that it's the likely possibilities that we're gonna get another UP Ateneo game on Wednesday. Not sure if both communities will be able to recover by Wednesday. We're still trying to unwind and let everything sink in from what happened today's game. What a first round by the UAAP. I think this is what we wanted. Definitely. I'm hoping that the second round will be a lot crazier. But it's the first round has been as good as advertised. UST getting that first win also was
happy for UST, no?
Was a good thing for me. I also want to give a shout out to the women's team of the Ateneo Blue Eagles. I think the UP women's basketball team also had a 6-0 record, and our women's team won with Hoson hitting 8 3-pointers. So I have to commend also our women's team. I think it's a big win for Ateneo this weekend. Both of our men's and women's team were able to end 6-0 starts by the UP men's and women's. Comment ko lang is I'm not sure if this really happened since I didn't watch the women's games live, but it was crazy that UP was cheering and jeering and while Ateneo was doing the song for Mary. I hope this does not happen during the men's basketball because it's gonna be crazy. Magkakarambulan. But yeah, just I wanted to shout out the women's team. I think women's basketball is on the rise. A lot of the women's team also have foreign student athletes. I was shocked that even Ateneo, I think, has one. So hopefully the women's basketball continues to rise. UAAP, please listen to Gab. Don't overlap the men's and women's basketball
Yeah.
games. I think we can build on the women's basketball, similar to what happened sa volleyball when men's volleyball also started to gain in popularity. I think women's basketball is on the rise. I think they're in good hands.
Agree, Maui.
Having
Good point.
Mariana Lopa as the commissioner is also a great thing. This is somebody I had my ACL therapy with. She was a former Eaglet, so she understands what it takes to be a UAAP basketball player. So I think they are in good hands. I think this league has to start to really, they will wrap up definitely. Ateneo and UP having competitive women's basketball team should really help also. I think LaSalle is also competitive also.
Yeah, actually magandang point 'yon, Maui, no. Talk about yung men's basketball teams having being very competitive. I think women's, we mentioned it in the previous episode, NU has been dominant for like the past 6-7 seasons. So women's, it's very competitive then. Like now that UP has lost, they're still the number one team, but Ateneo, UST, NU, I think, are the top four teams, and the other teams are also
It's
very good. So
6-1, 6-1, 5-2 UST and 5-2 Ateneo.
Ateneo, right? Yeah. So that's a very good point. We wish we would have time to watch the women's also, but we do try to mention them or keep our eyes on them. So uh kudos to the UAP again for streaming it on Pilipinas Live. But hopefully they continue to grow women's UAAP basketball. So just to end this podcast, I think Maui, you mentioned it. I have a question for the Ateneo and the UP fans. Ready na ba kayo for another
Round
round of
2!
Ateneo versus UP
Round 2 na
this
naman.
Wednesday agad? Ready ka na ba? Is that better for you, or gusto mo at the end of the season na? Comment down below. For the other fans, don't worry. We'll be doing another episode tomorrow. We'll be recording another episode to talk more about the other teams also. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe para naman updated ka. As soon as we post the video, you will be notified.
Turn
That's
on
it
your
for today's
notifications.
episode. Turn on your notifications. Tama. Salamat at pinaalala mo yun, Maui. That's it for today's episode. Congrats to the Ateneo Blue Eagles. Congrats also to the UP Fighting Maroons. That was a crazy game.
Great
I hope
game.
everyone enjoyed
Great
watching.
game.
What a game. Sana ganun din next.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.